Two missiles closing on each other at a combined speed of over 5,000 miles an hour. No warhead on either end, no explosive charge waiting to go off. Just two objects, aimed at the exact same point in space at the exact same moment. This is a Patriot PAC-3 intercept, and the way it actually kills a missile is more precise and stranger than almost anyone realizes. It also took the Army nearly 2 decades and one deeply humbling war to get here. Most air defense missiles from the last 70 years work the same way. Get close, detonate, let shrapnel do the job. That's how Patriot's own older interceptor, the PAC-2, still works today, and it's effective against aircraft and cruise missiles. But against an incoming ballistic missile, close isn't good enough. A proximity blast might just knock the warhead off course instead of destroying it. And debris from a near miss can still fall on exactly what you were trying to protect. So the newer interceptor, the PAC-3, throws out the explosive entirely. It carries no warhead at all. Its only weapon is itself a solid object, deliberately steered into a direct, physical collision with the incoming missile. That's what hit to kill means, and it turns every intercept into the hardest possible version of the problem. You don't just have to get close, you have to touch it. Nobody designed it that way on a whiteboard for the fun of it. They designed it that way because the alternative was already tried in combat, and it didn't work the way anyone was told it did. Patriot didn't start as a missile killer at all. It began in the 1970s as an anti-aircraft system, and only in 1984 did the Army decide to give it a limited ability to shoot down ballistic missiles too, mostly a software change at first, widening how much sky the radar could search. Then came the Gulf War in January 1991. Iraq launched Scud missiles at Saudi Arabia and Israel. Patriot batteries fired back, and the Army's public number afterward was striking, a 96% intercept rate. It was treated at the time as proof that missile defense actually worked. It didn't hold up. Later government review found the real intercept rate was likely far lower, by some estimates, only around 9% in Saudi Arabia, and worse over Israel. Even some of the successful intercepts had only damaged the incoming Scud without destroying it, so the warhead kept falling anyway. Part of the problem was the missile itself. Scuds tended to break apart as they re-entered the atmosphere, throwing off multiple radar returns that made the real threat harder to pick out. Patriot could get close. Getting close wasn't saving anyone. That failure, quiet, technical, and only fully understood well after the war ended, is the actual reason PAC-3 exists. The fix wasn't a bigger blast. It was removing the blast completely and betting everything on a direct hit instead. Here's the problem with hitting something instead of just detonating near it. By the time the interceptor is in its final seconds of flight, it's moving at more than Mach 5, well over 6,000 kilometers an hour, and so is the target. At those speeds, being off by even a few feet means a clean miss. A missile's main steering fins simply aren't fast enough to correct for that in the last instant. So, Patriot's engineers built a second, much smaller steering system just for the final approach. Around the nose of the interceptor sit a ring of tiny solid fuel thrusters, attitude control motors. Each one is little more than a small explosive puff, built to fire once for a fraction of a second and then it's spent. But there are roughly 180 of them, packed onto a single interceptor. As the seeker locks onto the target in the last moments of flight, the guidance computer fires these thrusters in rapid sequence, left, right, up, down, nudging the missile's flight path in tiny increments, dozens of times per second, walking the interceptor's nose directly onto the target's body. It isn't one big turn, it's hundreds of tiny ones, stacked faster than a human could ever react. Zoom out, and the steering is only the last few seconds of a much faster sequence. Patriot's radar sweeps continuously, and when it picks up an inbound threat, the battery's computer classifies it and calculates a predicted intercept point in moments. An operator authorizes the engagement, and the interceptor launches straight up out of its canister before turning hard toward that predicted point. All the way in, It keeps receiving updated guidance from the ground radar, correcting its overall course. Only in the final seconds does control shift to the interceptor's own onboard seeker and those attitude thrusters for the precision walk-on. Radar, decision, launch, mid-course correction terminal seeker, direct hit. The entire sequence against a high-speed missile can happen in under a minute. But there's a limit hiding inside that radar. The same radar that finds the threat also has to steer every missile in the air at once, splitting its attention across every target it's tracking. It can watch over 100 objects at a time, but it can only actively guide a handful of interceptors simultaneously, reportedly around 9. A single battery isn't just one radar and one missile either. It's a radar, a control station, and several launchers, each holding up to 16 interceptors, so it can throw more than one shot at a single threat if the first one needs backup. But if enough threats arrive at once, the bottleneck isn't the missile's aim. It's how much attention one radar has to give. All of that precision costs money. Army budget documents put the flyaway cost of a single PAC-3 MSE at roughly $3.9 million, commonly rounded to about $4 million. Once training, spares, and support are bundled into international sales, some foreign orders have priced the same missile above $8 million each. A newly built Patriot battery, radar, and launchers, and a full load of missiles runs around $1.1 billion, and demand has outpaced supply. Reported Army procurement targets for this interceptor have jumped roughly fourfold in recent planning, driven by sustained real-world combat use, while annual production, reported in the range of 500 to 600 missiles, is being pushed toward a stated goal of 2,000 a year, a ramp defense officials themselves describe as difficult. That price tag creates an uncomfortable trade. Some of the drones and cheaper threats a Patriot battery ends up firing at are commonly estimated to cost a small fraction of the interceptor sent to stop them. So, how has the fixed version actually performed? Far better than 1991. But the lesson from that first war is worth keeping in mind every time a number gets quoted today. Patriot systems are reported to have logged over 1,500 total intercepts in recent combat use, more than 300 of them against ballistic missiles, including the first reported combat intercept of a hypersonic missile in May of 2023. Commonly cited success rates against ballistic missiles run above 90%, according to operators and the manufacturer. Treat that the way you'd treat any claimed number from inside a live conflict. Reported, not independently audited, in the same way the 96% figure was once. Some independent reporting has also described intercept rates dropping against missiles that were specifically modified to exploit Patriot's terminal approach limits, with at least one assessment suggesting a competing system performed better against those modified threats in that specific context. None of that erases the real gap between 1991 and today. It just means the story isn't finished, and probably never fully will be, for any interceptor.